identify vSphere architecture and solutions. Okay, well, in that last nugget, I did promise you that this would be a relatively short nugget. I'm sure you're itching to get to the click-by-click. I would be. That's the fun part, really. But as I also said, before you can actually get there, before you can actually really understand what things you need to be clicking on and why, it's important to understand what the architecture is of vSphere and what the different solutions are as well. In this relatively short nugget, I want to just further cement the important differences between what ESXi is and what vCenter Server is. At the same time, I also want to just give you a quick introduction to what you may have been hearing about as it relates to private cloud, public cloud, and ultimately the interconnection of these two as a hybrid cloud. With that also, obviously vSphere is one of a large set of solutions, products and solutions in VMware's portfolio, and so I want to just kind of run through a few of the important items in that portfolio. They can be useful for you because certain items solve certain problems that are just not available or are very difficult to do right out of the box with VMware vSphere alone. I need to start, however, by just kind of going over what those products are. Now, VMware kind of breaks them apart into its data center products, its cloud products, the extensions to its data center products, and then the desktop and end user products. So different consumers of different products and also for different reasons. And the one set of products that we'll be using here are these up at the top. So vSphere 5, ESXi 5, vCenter Server, and then, well, obviously ESX. You will probably hear me use the term vSphere and vCenter, particularly when we're talking about the server, almost interchangeably. And that's my own, that's just me. My brain has a hard time keeping the two of them separate. So I will apologize in advance for using them interchangeably throughout this series. But what I want to tell you is that really the real definition of what these are is that vSphere is the entire sphere of influence that the data center products have. Right? So vSphere includes vCenter Server. It includes the vSphere client. It includes ESXi 5, and it includes some of these product extensions too. But vSphere itself is the larger scale umbrella for what all this stuff is. Now, vCenter Server is the management tool, whereas ESXi is the hypervisor and the functions that perform the virtualizing of your virtual machines. Right? You'll find out here a little bit that ESXi, very much different than ESX, is in a lot of ways almost like this appliance. They've stripped out so much out of this thing. It's very, very small now. And it being very small is a very powerful thing. It's a very smart decision on the part of VMware because as an almost appliance, you kind of light this thing up. And it's almost stateless. I mean, there's some configuration stuff in there. But you light this thing up, and then you do all the work in administering it, managing it, configuring it from vCenter. Now, the only thing you have to do on the host itself is putting in IP address information and setting the root password. There's nothing much to do. So why this is good is because as that almost quasi-appliance, the attack surface of an ESXi host is somewhat diminished. Right, in a regular Linux box, you got all kinds of daemons running. They're out doing print. There's a print daemon. There's I don't know. There might even be a graphical user interface daemon. There are different daemons for NFS. There are different daemons for whatever it is that are operating on top of that Linux instance. And whereas there is some Linux-ness to ESXi, again, there's a management partition on there that kind of does some Linux-like things. That exposure is extremely minimized. And in fact, there's a thing